Welcome back to Stab the Dragon Productions for episode number 104 and whiskey comparison number 3. I'm in the middle of a Texas rye whiskey tournament and have completed the Sweet 16, and I'm ready to have the Elite 8 fight it out. But today is International Whiskey Day, so I felt like taking a break from Texas rye whiskeys and doing something international. In the past, I have done a little bit of work with Irish whiskies. I've compared Bushmills Original with Red Bush, and then I compared Red Bush with Black Bush. Bushmills Original won against the Red Bush, and then Red Bush beat out Black Bush. Imagine that. Those were all blind. Well, the first one was not blind, but the second one between red and black, that was blind, and Red Bush eked out a win. I mean, it was very close. Today, however, I turn to the world of Scotch whiskies. So first, what is International Whiskey Day? Because that's what today is. This is the 27th of March, 2023, and it's International Whiskey Day. So this is a commemorative day created in 2009 at the Whisky Festival of Northern Netherlands to remember the great British author Michael L. Jackson, who was a world-renowned author of books about beer and whiskey. This is his book, or one of his books. He's actually got several. This is the one that I have, and it's a general book about whiskey. And so this is a very, the definitive world guide, Scotch bourbon whiskey, new edition. So this is just a wonderful coffee table style book with double columns and photographs on virtually every page has got photos. I mean, this is just a marvelous book if you're interested in studying whiskey in general. Publisher is DK. This book, what's the date on this book? I don't know. I can't find a date here on the book, but there you go. If you're a whiskey connoisseur, I suggest that you get a library of whiskey books. So, Jackson was born on this day in March 27th of 1942, and then he died August 30th of 2007. So that's why we're doing an international approach to whiskey comparison today, taking a break from the Texas Rye Tournament. So who are my contestants today? In this corner, we have Islay Gold 10-year. This is a single malt whiskey from Islay, Scotland, but this is also a mystery whiskey in that the company, Islay Gold, purchases some Islay whiskeys from one of the Islay distilleries that is their second best, I suppose. In other words, they don't put out the same stuff that the Islay distilleries that are notable and famous, and you would know their names. So it's their seconds, I think, is how this works. And they bottle it and sell it under their own label, but there's no hint anywhere online or on the bottle or on the box of which distillery this comes from. So we don't know much about that. However, I am sure, and then here's the carton. I'm sure that those who are very familiar with Islay whiskeys can figure it out. I, however, am a rookie at Scotch, a beginner, so I could not begin to tell you where this came from other than Islay. Now, the thing about this brand, I mean, first of all, I'm a sucker for attractive bottles and labels. I just am. And I love a green whiskey bottle. Absolutely. I mean, Cutty Sark is green. Islay Gold here is green. Several others are green. J&B Scotch is green. So I'm just a sucker for marketing, I guess. The label itself is functional. There's nothing real classy about the label, but I like the green bottle. And you can tell, I'm down here. I mean, I have drunk a lot of this and enjoy it. So there you go. uh, it's available here in Fort Worth, Texas, for $39.99 at Total Wine. And that's the only place I can find it, Total Wine. And there's a whole lineup of Islay Gold whiskeys. I mean, this is not the only one. They have, several. And the deal is that they are at a lower price than the name brand whiskeys. So if you're looking for something that is similar to Lagavulin or Lafroig, here you go. But it's going to be considerably cheaper. So, but again, it's going to be their second best. Which for me, working on a tight budget, it's like, you know, that's fine for me. That's an introduction to peated whiskeys for me, right? Now, in this corner, I've got Jura 10-year. So both of these are 10-year whiskeys. Jura is a single malt from the only distillery on the Isle of Jura, operated by White and McKay, but owned by Emperador Distillers Inc. of Philippines, which is part of Alliance Global. Now, I came across this whiskey when I was studying the life and writings of George Orwell, who lived on the Isle of Jura for a couple of years trying to recuperate from tuberculosis. So I bought the whiskey to honor the memory of one of my favorite authors. $40.99 at Specs, $39.99 at Goody Goody. This is labeled 40%, but when I checked online, I swear I found it of Jura 10 at 46% somewhere. And it's like, really? My bottle says 40%. And so when you go to whiskey uh, websites, they are notoriously bad, I've found. I mean, I've gotten, frustrated with using local websites of the liquor stores because they're inaccurate so much of the time. But this is a 40% alcohol by volume, and Islay Gold is also 40%. So they're both 10 years and they're both 40%. So this should be a very good comparison. In reading about these and having sampled these already, the Islay Gold, I think, is much more heavily peated. The Jura 10 is peated, but there's a light touch to it. So that's going to be some of the key differences between the two. Obviously, I have not consumed as much of the Jura 10 as I have the Islay Gold. But going into this competition, I have to tell you that I think my favorite is going to be Jura. But here in the glasses, I poured and then mixed up the glasses. Walked away, came back, mixed them up again. I am not sure which is which. On the bottom of the glass is a number, and when I raise the glass to drink it, you may be able to see the number. Islay Gold is number 1. Jura is number 2. So if you see that on the screen, then you'll know which is which. And I'll try to, when I announce the winner, I'll try to show you which I think. Visually, they are so similar, I don't think I can tell them apart. So here's the problem with the Texas Rye Whiskey Tournament is that I know my Texas whiskeys very well, and I can tell by looking at them which is which. I really need the blacked out Glencairns to do this properly, I suppose. But here with the two 10-year scotches, I can't tell the difference. Maybe you can. I don't know. So I really don't know which is which. So we're going to do this and see what we think. So I'm going to start with the one on my left. Nose it. Not getting a whole lot on the nose. A little bit of maltiness and a little bit of sweetness. Not really picking up any peat. The one on the right. Oh, I get peat right away, so I'm thinking this is the Islay Gold. Yeah, oh, that's a marvelous smell because it's what I like about peated whiskeys is when I get a maritime salt sea breeze kind of a nose, and that's what I'm getting there. Yeah, so this one wins by the nose. There you go. And I think the one on my right here is, I'm going to say it's Islay Gold. Now for the taste. I'll start on the left side, which I think is Jura. Wow. So it's lightly sweet, a little bit of maltiness. Not really tasting the peat today, but on the finish, chocolate and coffee. Mint. That's an interesting combination. They're kind of a candied mint taste on the end, but I'm getting notes of chocolate and coffee, like a mocha almost on the end. So here's the thing, most of my drinks are Texas whiskeys, American bourbons, and ryes. And so the sweetness level is high with those whiskeys. One of the things I like about single malts scotches is they are not as sweet. There's still a sweetness there. I'm not getting any of the classic medicinal notes, iodine notes, but I'm getting that hint of chocolate, coffee, and mint on the finish. It's a pretty long finish. So that is amazing, really. When you're used to drinking the sweet American bourbons that are actually kind of harsh too. They're harsh, but they're sweet. And then you come into one of these scotches. That's a nice, gentle break from the harshness of a Texas whiskey. And Texas whiskeys have a smoke about them. It's barrel char that the extreme climate brings out. That to me is just rich. I mean, I love my Texas whiskeys, but switching to Scotch is such a welcome break. I mean, it's really wonderful. So there, I'm thinking this is the Jura on my left. There you go. On the left, that's Jura. On the right, well, let me rinse my palate out here with my Topo Chico. Okay, on the right. This, I think, is the Islay Gold because the nose is just very maritime. You're getting that peat smoke. That's, I hesitate to call it peat smoke. Everybody calls it smoky. When you've had Texas whiskeys or even Tennessee whiskeys or American single malts that are smoked, that's smoke. This, I don't know. I'm going to call it maritime. Okay, here we go. Again, it's mildly sweet. You can get hints of the maltiness. but this has definitely got peat in it. And boy, I mean, it's got a long finish as well. That's really tasty. It's interesting. That peat smoke flavor is going and going. I'm getting something else though there on the finish that's not. I guess I'm going to say maritime. I'm not really getting the Band-Aid or the iodine medicinal notes that are common with peated whiskeys. I'm not getting that here. And there's something there. I want to say fish. There's something here that tastes like fish. I mean, it's the maritime note. It's the kind of a little bit of a fish note. Wow, I've never heard anybody describe a whiskey as being fishy. But, I mean, it's not unpleasant at all. I mean, I'm just trying to figure this taste out. I mean, there's a reason why I've drunk almost all this bottle. But that finish that's coming across is very much sea spray, salty sea spray, and some fish notes or something. I mean, that's what it's bringing to my mind. And it's not an unpleasant fish note. I mean, this is just like I'm standing on the seashore and the wind is blowing spray in my face. There's seaweed lying around. I mean, this is, man, that's hard. That's hard to beat there. Okay, I'm going to have to try the Jura one more time. This is going to be incredibly hard to choose between these two. I'll tell you that. This is perhaps a tad sweeter. Bourbon-esque. I think this is finished in sherry casks, if I remember right. So I'm picking that sherry up. But then on the finish, that coffee note, a little bit of chocolate is there. Wow. Okay, I'm going to have to use a tiebreaker here because these are both really good, but they're different. And so it's hard when you're comparing two things that are different and you like both of them. That makes it very hard to say, oh, this is the winner, right? So I'm going to have to do something to break the tie. Islay Gold's availability is weak. It's only at Total Wine. Jura 10 I can get at Specs and Goody Goody. They're both at about $40. The connection with Orwell for Jura 10 is why I bought the bottle. The taste is amazing. So I'm going to have to go with Jura 10 as the winner. But again, that win is based on availability and the history behind the Isle of Jura and the connection with me personally with my studies in Orwell. I mean, I've taught 1984 at my church. We did a literature course, classical lit and the gospel. And so I taught Orwell. I taught 1984. And so I've got this connection with Jura. So yeah, Jura for the win. All right. Well, thank you for joining Stab the Dragon today on International Whiskey Day. And my first review or comparison of two Scotch single malts. So we'll be back soon this week. I hope to do another book review this week and then return to my Texas Rye Whiskey tournament next week. So Stab the Dragon, out here.